There's a demon living inside you, but it doesn't have horns. It doesn't breathe fire. It wears your face. It knows your voice, and it waits in silence, just below your skin until something doesn't go your way. It shows up when you're disrespected, when someone cuts you off in traffic, when life feels unfair and you need someone anyone to blame. It's not a monster from a myth. It's something worse. It's familiar. It's human. This demon is your anger. It disguises itself as power. But in truth, it's weakness in a mask. It feels strong, hot, fast, explosive. But it leaves a trail of broken words, broken relationships, broken focus. And afterward, it leaves you alone. Ashamed, confused, tired. Let's be honest for a second. How many times have you said something in anger that you wish you could take back? How many moments have you lost because your emotions pulled the trigger before your mind could think? You believe you're in control. But every time someone pushes your buttons, you're showing them exactly how to control you. The truth is, anger doesn't make you powerful. It makes you predictable. And predictable people are easy to defeat. But what if I told you there's a way to kill that demon, not by suppressing it, not by yelling into a pillow, not by counting to 10, but by understanding it, by starving it, by burning it down with silence. There was once a man who did exactly that, a man who killed his anger, a man who became so calm, so composed, that even death couldn't shake him. His name was Miyamoto Musashi. He wasn't just a swordsman. He was a warrior machine wrapped in silence. He fought more than 60 life-or-death duels and never lost a single one. Not because he was the fastest, not because he was the strongest, but because he didn't fight with emotion. He fought with clarity. He fought like a mirror reflecting nothing, absorbing nothing. Just calm, pure execution. There's a story. Not many people know it. Musashi, still barely out of his teenage years, challenged a respected samurai named Arima Kihei. Arima was skilled, formal, confident. He expected a traditional duel with steel swords, ceremony, and Onna Musashi showed up with a stick. Yes, a wooden staff, no armor, no robe, no fear. Arima laughed. He mocked him. He tried to provoke him, and that's when most men would have snapped, thrown a punch, reacted emotionally. But Musa, he just watched. Still, silent, calculating. Then, in a flash, he struck. Fast, hard, brutal. And Arima fell. Defeated. No rage. No shouting. No drama. Just cold, emotionless execution. That's what made Musashi terrifying. Not his sword. Not his strength. Not his fame. His unpredictability. His emptiness. A man without emotional triggers is a man you cannot manipulate. You can't provoke him. You can't threaten him. You can't break him. Because he doesn't react. He responds. Let's look at the science for a moment. A 2010 study published in Psychological Science found that people in angry states make decisions up to 25% more impulsively, according to Harvard Medical School. When you're angry, your brain activates the amygdala, emotional center, and suppresses the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for logical thinking and self-control. In simple terms, when you're angry, you're dumber. You think less, you see less, you react more, and that's dangerous. But Musashi knew this long before science proved it. He trained his mind not just to become, but to be empty. Empty of pride, empty of ego, empty of the need to prove anything. Because here's the harsh truth. Anger is never about the world. It's about your expectations of the world. You get angry when things don't go the way you think they should. When someone disrespects you, cuts you off, ignores you, criticizes you. But anger isn't the result of the situation. It's the result of the story you tell yourself about the situation. The Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it and this. You have the power to revoke." Let that sink in. Because if someone can make you angry, they can make you do anything. You're not in control. You're a puppet, and the strings are your emotions. Musashi cut those strings. He trained himself to be immune to provocation, to walk into battle with the stillness of a monk, to remain cold, even when the fight was brutal. Not because he lacked emotions, but because he refused to be ruled by them. True strength isn't how hard you can hit. It's how impossible you are to provoke. That's what made Musashi terrifying. That's what made him free. He wasn't chasing respect. He didn't care about approval. He didn't care about being liked. And because he needed nothing, nothing could control him. This is the beginning of that path, the first step toward becoming untouchable. But if you want to walk this path, you have to ask yourself something uncomfortable. Are you strong, or are you just loud? Because a man who cannot control his anger will always be controlled by someone else. In the next chapter, we'll explore how Musashi went even further, how he starved the ego, trained his mind like a blade, and learned to treat silence not as absence, but as a weapon. But before we continue, if this video is already making you think deeper, if it's helping you reclaim control over your emotions, consider becoming a channel member. Your support helps me keep creating content like this, with depth, history, and practical philosophy for modern warriors. The join button is right below. I'd be honored to have you on the journey. Now, breathe in. Let it go, and follow me into the fire with calm eyes and a steady hand. Imagine stepping into a duel where your life is on the line, and instead of fear, instead of rage, you walk forward like it's nothing more than a morning stroll. No tremble, no tension, no fire in your eyes. Just calm. That was Musashi. He didn't fight to prove a point. He didn't fight to protect his pride. He fought with stillness like water that cuts through stone. The most legendary duel of his life was against Sasaki, a national celebrity. Kojiro was everything you'd expect from a master swordsman. Fast, elegant, dangerous, proud. His signature move, the swallow cut, was so fast it was said to slice falling leaves in midair. Kojiro was feared and admired. He was the embodiment of form, skill, and ego that Musashi knew it. On the day of their duel, Kojiro arrived early, focused, prepared, waiting Musashi. He arrived hours late, but not because he was careless, because he was strategic. He wanted Kojiro boiling with anger, frustrated, off balance. He understood something most people never learn. An angry opponent is easy to destroy. When Musashi finally appeared, he came rowing alone in a small boat, and during that ride, he carved his own weapon out of an oar, a wooden sword. No armor, no ceremony, no rush. Kojiro exploded with rage. He stepped calmly onto the beach, and with one strike, the fight was over. Kojiro lay dead, the master, defeated by a man who didn't even bring a real sword. How? Because Musashi didn't walk into a fight. He walked into a mind game. He won long before steel ever clashed. He didn't need to be faster. He didn't need to be stronger. He needed to be empty, emotionless, still, unmovable. That's what made him invincible. Today, in modern language, we'd say Musashi was a master of emotional control. But he was more than that. He was unpredictable, and in battle, whether with swords or with words, predictability is death. Let's step into psychology for a moment. When you're angry, your brain enters survival mode. The amygdala hijacks your responses. You stop thinking rationally. The prefrontal cortex, logic, gets silenced. That's not metaphor. That's neuroscience. According to Harvard Medical School, emotional hijacking is real. It means your brain literally disables your reasoning in moments of rage. Now imagine being in a duel where milliseconds decide life or death. Do you want to be emotional or precise? Musashi knew the answer. He trained not just his body but his mind. He denied himself comfort. He slept outdoors, ate little, avoided fame, rejected fortune. Why? Because comfort feeds the ego, and the ego feeds your anger. You get angry when your self-image is attacked, when your pride is hurt, when someone dares to challenge your value. But here's the twist. The more you feed your ego, the more fragile you become. Musashi starved his ego to death. He walked alone. He trained in silence. He didn't care if people liked him. He didn't care if history remembered him. And that's why we remember him. In his book, The Book of Five Rings, Musashi writes, "Do nothing that is of no use. Anger," he believed, "was useless unless it could be transformed into action with purpose, not reaction from pride. You might think anger helps you win arguments, but usually it just makes you loud. You might think it gives you power in conflict, but it only shows your enemies how to push your buttons. And once they know that, they own you. Musashi trained himself to be immune to insults, to watch others react while he remained still. He became a man you couldn't predict because you couldn't provoke him. This wasn't indifference. It was awareness. Clarity sharpened through discipline. His thinking aligned deeply with Stoic philosophy. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Musashi didn't just realize it, he embodied it. He wandered like a ghost, not because he was lost, but because he carried nothing, no pride, no vanity, no emotional baggage. The modern world doesn't teach this. We're taught to react, to be visible, loud, assertive to show our strength. But Musashi's strength was in what he didn't show. He could be insulted and smile. He could be threatened and remain still. He could walk into death and not flinch because he had already let go. The truth is, you don't need to defend yourself when there's nothing left to protect. Most people live in armor-ego image status, but Musashi wore no armor. And because of that, no weapon could touch him. You may not fight duels with swords, but every day you face attacks, comments, criticism, disrespect, failure, and every time you react with anger, you hand over control. You show your weakness. You reinforce your dependence on how others treat you. But what if you didn't react? What if you simply observed? The power dynamic changes instantly. You stop being a puppet. You become the puppeteer. Musashi knew a man who cannot be provoked is a man who cannot be defeated. So how do you get there? You kill the ego. You kill the fire, and you sharpen your mind into a blade. That's the journey we'll take next. We'll look at how Musashi trained his mind to be still even in chaos. How he meditated on his own death to make peace with everything else. And how that final step made him untouchable. Let's get honest. That you think the world should be fair, that people should respect you, that if you try your best, things should go your way. But here's the problem. The world doesn't care about what you think it owes you. And the longer you hold on to that illusion, the angrier you'll be. Musashi understood something most people spend a lifetime avoiding. The more you expect, the more you suffer. And the more you suffer, the more you react. And the more you react, the easier you are to control. That's why he let go. He didn't seek comfort. He didn't chase praise. He didn't live for recognition. He lived to master himself. Attachment is the root of suffering. That idea runs through every philosophies in Stoicism, Buddhism. Musashi didn't just repeat it. He trained for it. He slept on the ground, ate the bare minimum, carried only what he needed. He stripped himself of everything soft and unnecessary, not to be cold, but to become untouchable. You see? The enemy isn't the insult. It's your reaction to the insult. The pain isn't in what happens. It's in your resistance to what happens. Musashi starved his ego to death, and in doing so, he killed the root of all his rage. He stopped expecting life to go a certain way. And when you stop expecting, you stop being disappointed. And Juan, you're no longer disappointed. You don't get angry. What would happen if you did the same? If you let go of the belief that people owe you respect, that strangers must treat you kindly, that life must align with your plans? What if you lived like nothing needed to be a certain way? Like nothing could shake Hubi because you already made peace with the worst. That's what Musashi did. He made the peace with death. Yes, death every day. He meditated on his own mortality, because when death becomes your companion, everything else becomes small. What's a rude comment compared to your last breath? What's a delay? An insult, a lost opportunity. When you already understand that everything ends, think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world. Musashi wrote that. It means don't cling to your ego. Don't inflate your importance. Zoom out. See the bigger picture. When you dissolve, your ego, insults become echoes. Criticism becomes information. Rejection becomes redirection. And anger dies because it has nothing left to defend. You're not angry because the world is cruel. You're angry because your identity is under attack, because someone didn't validate your image of yourself. That's ego. And ego is weakness up a strength. The more you feed it, the more fragile you become. But Musashi didn't feed it. He burned it. He didn't care about wearing elegant robes. He didn't need applause. He didn't smile to please the crowd. He didn't try to go viral. He didn't brand himself. He walked like a shadow, silent, detached, watching. Because the more you crave recognition, the easier it is to control you. The more your identity depends on how others see you, the more power they have to break you. But a man with nothing to prove is a man no one can provoke. When you let go of ego, you stop defending everything. You stop explaining yourself. You stop proving yourself. And in that emptiness, you find power. Let me repeat that. The man who has nothing to protect is the one you should fear the most. We live in a world of constant noise. Everyone's offended. Everyone reacts. Everyone's performing strength. But true strength is invisible. True power is quiet. It moves without effort. It cuts without warning. Musashi's power came from stillness, not rage, not reaction, just ruthless clarity. That's the lesson. If you want to become untouchable, don't build a thicker armor. Burn the ego that needs armor. Because when there's nothing left to hurt, there's nothing left to fear. That's how you win. Not by dominating others, but by mastering yourself so completely that no insult, no loss, no betrayal can move you. Let's return to Musashi's final duel, the one with Kashiro. Musashi arrived late to come, carved a wooden sword from a boat, or faced a man boiling with rage. And won. Instantly. Why? Because Kojiro brought ego to the battle. Musashi brought emptiness. One was flammable, the other untouchable. This isn't just history. It's a mirror. You can keep reacting. Keep be a fin. Keep feeding the fire. Or you can choose silence. You can sharpen your mind. You can starve your ego. You can let go. And in that space, you become something rare. Something modern society doesn't know how to handle. A person who can't be controlled. No threats, no praise. No insult can reach you, because you no longer need to be respected. You no longer need to be right. You no longer need anything from anyone. And in that moment, you become truly powerful.